Hi, I'm Larry Littlegeorge. I'm with the Federation of United Tribes. And
I'm Jill Stein. I'm with the Global Climate Convergence, and we're here today to talk about the Global Climate Convergence and the Federation of United Tribes and this very exciting process that we've begun to work together. And I'll sort of lay the groundwork, and then I'll turn it over to you to talk about the Federation. So I'm with the Global Climate Convergence, which is an education and direct action campaign for people, planet, and peace over profit. And what that means basically is that a lot of us are feeling like we're not moving forward. In fact, we're moving backwards at an accelerating rate. And we're really at the breaking point for the climate, for our water, for our air, and for our economy and our jobs and wages and health care and our education system, and people are in debt and losing their homes, and and this is not okay, and this is most people, and the system has us fighting all these battles separately. So we have people who are fighting to get out of debt, young people who are fighting to pay off their tuition, but there aren't any jobs to do it with. We have people who are fighting to stop the fracking going on that's polluting our water supply and our air, and the frack sand mining, which is devastating the state of Wisconsin and other places around the country too, that's polluting the air and the water supply and putting workers and communities at risk. And corporations are stealing our land, our water, our climate, our democracy. We have a government that's of, by, and for the 1%, and they're about to go back to war in Iraq after a decade and $5 trillion in Iraq and Afghanistan. So it's just all the wrong decisions are being made. They're sending our jobs overseas, you name it. And we have these separate struggles. And the purpose of the convergence is to bring us together across issues and across national borders, so that we can harness the power, actually, that we have as 1,000 movements that are rising up across the country and actually across the globe, from democracy revolutions in the Middle East, the anti-austerity fights, the Idle No More campaign, the fight against mining and frack sand, the fight against fracking, the fight against nuclear power. We've actually shut down about a dozen or so nuclear power plants in the last year that have either been scheduled for decommissioning or which have been taken off the books, and they're not going to be built. We stopped a war before it started in Syria, where the president was going to expand the bombing into Syria. And we stood up and we said, no, you're not, and they said, resistance is futile. And we said, no, it's not. And we stopped them. It took us about 3 weeks. But we actually have enormous power that we're told we don't have. And half the battle is just recognizing the power that we actually have. The famous novelist Alice Walker said this wonderful quote about how the biggest way we give up power is by not knowing that we have it to start with. So the convergence is about connecting us across all these areas of struggle. Workers who are standing up now for decent wages and for the right to have a union. The indigenous tribes that are really leading the fight against mining, against the uranium mines, against tar sands. The courage of the First Nations is just staggering and such an incredible inspiration. So the convergence is a way to bring us together, to harness the power we already have. And we're not just getting together for a kumbaya moment. We're getting together to say, we do not consent. We do not consent to the trashing of Mother Earth and the people on it and our workers and our water. We do not consent, and we insist that it be fixed. So we're coming together to lift up our local struggles, and we're also coming together to say, here's how to fix it. So we have an agenda to convert to 100% wind, water, and sun by 2030. And in order to do that, to create tens of millions of jobs, to basically put everyone back to work who needs a job or who needs a living wage job, to put them back to work in this emergency transition of the economy to a green economy. And we need a clean energy system, which is 100% renewable clean energy. And creating all this is enough to put us back to work. And it not only does that, it will jumpstart the economy in a community-based economy with worker cooperatives and local small businesses. This is specifically what we're calling for. And to do so, to become energy independent with clean renewable energy, also means that we don't need those friggin' wars for oil. So this is a win-win-win. To move to a community-based green economy is a win-win. It's a win for our health, a win for peace, and it's a win for the climate. So instead of going down this lose-lose path that we're on, we can actually go down a win-win path, for our future, for our planet, and for human rights. And we're very excited that early on in this conversation, we had a chance to talk with Art Chigoni, who was very much a part of the indigenous revival. And we're very excited to be lifting up the Federation of United Tribes as part of this convergence in New York. And we've just begun to discuss this and how the climate convergence can help support this convergence of Indian nations as part of this New York summit. So you'll hear kind of the beginnings of the planning and the thinking about this, but especially what you'll hear from Larry is about this very exciting process that they have actually begun and is well underway to create this Federation of United Tribes.
Our first historical document comes from the Declaration of Independence. The first paragraph, it describes the law of nature. Thomas Jefferson, one of the authors, he put that in there, and that parallels everything that the indigenous people believe in. And our second historical document is the Constitution of the United States. Article 6, Clause 2. It states supreme law of the land, and it puts federal law and it puts U.S. treaties on the same line. So, with this in mind, we wanted to go ahead and use all of our treaties to put all of the Indian nations in a position where we can go ahead and deal with any of these here sand mines, any of the taconite mines, the fishing rights, the water rights, anything that pertains to treaties, we want to go ahead and use on a federal level. The insects, the rivers, the mountains, the trees. What I breathe out, my brother the tree will breathe in. And what my brother the tree breathes out, I breathe in. This is the balance. This is the balance that we talk about. And this is what we call our relatives. Is that only to mainstream culture that these are resources. And to us it's our relatives. So we're using our treaties now to go ahead and to make a stand and to be accountable for Mother Earth. So this is how we came together before, and I'm glad to be coming together again. And I hope that we do come and make a difference when it comes September 19th and the 21st in New York. We should be able to go ahead and make some kind of a stand against these devastations, these atrocities that are happening to our land. The present day document that we're using right now was the United Nations Declaration of Indigenous Rights. This is dealing with the United Nations, and inside this Declaration of the United Nations there's 47 articles that will protect, put more strength to treaty rights. So that's our present-day document that we're using is the United Nations Declaration of Indigenous Rights. And our future document that we're using, it's called the Treaties of Agreement. And this is the exchange, an orderly exchange of these provisions and these increments that are based inside our treaties. Inside the Federation, we had representatives from the Menominee, from the Chippewa, and from the Ho-Chunk Nation. There were legislatures, there were city officials, tribal officials that were represented. And from the Menominee Reservation, there was a young girl that was representing the Menominee tribe. And she was there, and she was very much interested in the politics of how the tribe was working. And as a matter of fact, she had some pretty good questions that she had, and it kind of stumped us elders here. But they are looking, and we need to be examples, and we need to be role models for this here younger generation coming up. It is said that we are renting this land from our grandkids. So what we need to go ahead and to do is take care of it and put these things in order and give it to them so they can continue on with it for the next 7 generations.
Great. Well, we look forward to bringing some tribes and representatives of the various Indian nations to the New York Convergence so that we have kind of an Indian convergence going on as a core part of the convergence of many groups in New York to stand up for people, planet, and peace over profit, and to use this emergency of the climate that we're facing as a crisis that can bring us together so that we can actually exert the power we have to create a world that works for all of us.